and all upcoming sessions will be related to real projects with real information. So last time we started by doing a real risk assessment. I sent you the template for risk to prepare something similar that you can use. And I also sent you a real asset register, and I'm waiting from you guys to start sending me at least a draft. Okay. So all the upcoming tasks will be related to real project with real assignment, with real information. And the point is, you're going to need to provide the business requirement. So now we have one pending task. I know it will take some time, but you have to start sending me like a draft or showing me how things are going, because I want you to prepare a template that you can even use if you conduct a risk assessment for any organization. So today we have two different projects that we're going to work with. One is related to cloud security, and the second is related to data classification. So take notes, because this is not like a teaching lecture. It's more about a statement of work, and then we will discuss how it should be done, and then you will provide whatever business is looking for. So today it's about cloud, okay? And I will show you the real cloud platform. So we have a customer requirement for cloud usage, and we need to know our involvement as a security team in the same organization. Now, cloud, let me just give you a brief or a small introduction about the cloud, because this is something that you're going to start facing a lot in the real business. You know, in many cases, you will find organization moving to the cloud, and they will ask for your involvement, and you need to understand how are you involved in such projects. But I will suggest that you do your own cloud setting, so you will be able to analyze it in a clear way. And instead of just following the checklist and just following the baseline, I want you to have a cloud, and we're going to talk about that within a few minutes, and to be able to evaluate and provide the proper feedback to the organization. Now, cloud is a very big topic, actually, okay? And the concept of cloud is to use a server on the internet. And we're going to talk about the different type of cloud, because you need to take notes about that before explaining the customer requirement. So when an organization decides to move to cloud, this is because of the cost, it's because of the availability, it's because of the less administrative effort. Before showing you real cloud and before showing you real platform, I want just to tell you that we have three different types of cloud. Guys, by the way, what is your background about cloud in general? What do you think cloud is? I mean, is it something like iCloud or Dropbox or Google Drive?
Yeah, something like that. But
okay,
a bit larger.
Yeah, exactly. But Jerry, my point is you need to be familiar with the terminology, because the document that I will share with you, which is a real business document, has a lot of terminology. So you need to understand those terminology, because once you apply for jobs or you go for an interview, they will not tell you cloud services. They will ask for specific services. So you need to be aware of it. We have three different types of cloud. We have the IaaS, and we have the PaaS, and we have the SaaS. And I don't want you just to be familiar with the terminology, but I want you to create an account for each one of them to understand exactly how it works. So you will get the business point of view and to understand the risk and to understand the benefit. IaaS stand for infrastructure as a service. Okay, and infrastructure as a service is the storage. When you are using only cloud services, like for instance Dropbox, you are just using a storage, right? Or iCloud. You are just using the storage from the internet. You are storing the information on the internet. This could be something like OneDrive. It could be something like Google Drive. It could be something like Dropbox. All of those are considered IaaS because you are just storing. I'm sharing my screen. I'm showing you like a sample of that. So for instance, this is my Google Drive account. I'm using that or one of my Google Drive account just to store information. Okay, important file, document, templates, whatever I need, I'm storing them. Also, the same way we are storing our cybersecurity specialist document. This is called IaaS. Okay, it's storage. Second one is PaaS, which stands for platform as a service. So we are using a platform. What does it mean, a platform? It means a full machine, a full computer. Okay, like let me show you. You can see now I have two remote desktop opened. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to create one. This is a machine on the cloud. It's a full virtual machine on a cloud. And as you can see, I'm storing information. So I'm using storage. Okay, so it gives me a storage, it gives me a memory, it gives me a processing, a computer, and I can do whatever I want on this machine. This is a full machine on the cloud. And just to show you, if we like open any browser, this is the machine located in a different country. So if you open the website and type what is myip.com, this is, I believe it's in Washington or yeah, it's in Washington, US. You can specify the location of the machine. So company, instead of purchase, or even you, by the way, instead of having a machine, full machine in your computer, you can get a cloud services, a platform on the cloud, and you can connect to this machine from any laptop, from any tablet, from anywhere, and you will have, you can like consider that or request all the configurations that you want. You can have higher memory, you can have higher storage, and you can have any kind of operating system. Okay, so this what I'm showing you. This is a virtual machine on the cloud, and I'm going to show you how to create one yourself within a few minutes. And I also have another cloud machine on Amazon. This one is on Microsoft Azure. I have also one on Amazon. This is the server 2019. So I can have a full server on the cloud, and I can have a full machine client, Windows 7, Linux, anything on the cloud. So those are not physically located in my place. Those are on the cloud, and I'm just paying rent to use this machine. Okay, so this is the second type of the cloud. Third type is the SaaS, which is the software as a service. We're familiar with the terminology, and I have to show you the platform from where they are renting that before talking about our assignment today. So software, it's more into the end user. I mean, the infrastructure, this is for the network team. They may use that for end user, for the network, the Windows team. This one is more for developer or for people who need to have a virtual machine where they can test everything. Because even if you create a virtual machine on your computer, it has a limitation. It depends on the resources that you have. So you can have a virtual machine on the cloud, and you can select whatever specification you have, and you can only pay for what you are using. If you are using it for one day, you are paying that much. If you are using it every day, you are paying, and I'm going to show you how it's calculated. SaaS is as a software. So sometimes I'm only using a software from a machine, from the cloud. So for instance, if we go to Office 365, and all of you guys have a license on Office 365, you will see that you can use application like Word or Excel or PowerPoint from the cloud. So you can have a full Excel sheet, and you can use it without installing the program. You can use your file here, save them here, access them from the internet, and you don't have to install the program and use it and upgrade it and have a license and so on. Okay. So those are the three different types of service. So when a company needs to use a cloud, they have to specify. Are they going to use IaaS or PaaS or SaaS? Okay, this need to be quite clear because each one has different security requirement. This is my first point. My second point, guys, why do you think companies are moving rapidly to the cloud right now?
Because of availability and shared responsibility.
Availability, of course, it's a very important factor, but this is not the first factor that company decide to move to the cloud accordingly.
What about
Business
shared
continuity.
responsibility?
I'm sorry?
Business continuity.
Yes, business continuity. I agree, but still, what else? I mean, this is also one of the shared responsibility. Amir, I agree with you. It's not, I mean, it's not actually even a shared responsibility. Most of the critical responsibility are managed by a third party. So I don't have to get people to take backup and people to do business continuity and people to do business impact analysis. They have to manage all the services, which is, you know, Microsoft Azure or Amazon AWS. It has to be managed from their side. So from your side, it's less headache, less administrative effort. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But what else?
Storage.
Low
Because you
cost
can
of
get
ownership.
that when you want to increase the storage.
Yes, storage, but I think you want to say what I'm thinking about, but maybe you
Cost
need to rephrase.
optimization.
Exactly, the cost optimization. Okay, so this is the virtual machine that I created on Azure, and I want to show you how much it cost me. So if I go to the subscription, so you will see, and while we're creating that, it will show me. So you will see, I created this virtual machine like 4 or 5 days ago. Okay, and he is only evaluating, or he is only making me pay what I'm using. So if I'm using this machine 2 hours per day, I'm going to pay that much. Nothing will be deleted from the machine. Nothing will be removed from the machine. I'm paying only for what I'm using from the storage and from the processing. Okay, so keep that in mind as a company who have maybe 500 servers, okay? And they purchase a huge SANs or NAS storage. Maybe they are not utilizing all the storage. Wouldn't be good to pay for only what you are using? If I, even on personal basis, if I'm purchasing a machine, I have to pay the full amount for it, right? If I'm using it every day, or I'm using it 1 day per week or 1 day per month, I have to pay for it. If I have an external hard drive with 2 terabytes, I'm paying the full amount for it. Okay, I'm not telling you from a personal perspective, I'm talking for a business perspective. So see the company, how much they are spending on their infrastructure. And what is the alternative option that they have, right? If I have the storage on the cloud, I'm only going to pay for the amount of storage that I'm going to use. Correct? If I have the platform on the cloud, I'm only going to pay for the uptime, or only going to use for the usage. So if my company is like working from 9 to 5, I'm only paying for that. I'm not paying the usage of the machine the full day. Besides, which is very, very important, that everything is managed by someone else. I don't have to worry about the business continuity. I don't want to worry about the business impact analysis. I'm sorry, the availability of the information, the backup. This is all done by a third party, and you have a service level agreement between you and them about the availability of the service and the responsibility of each entity. So from a business perspective, what do you think? This is a good solution for them regarding the cost effectiveness and regarding the efficiency and regarding the less administrative effort? If you are a business owner, how are you gonna like decide about something like that?
It's a great opportunity as long as we meet regulation and compliance.
Excellent. Okay, So for a business, this is a great solution. Okay, as a company, I don't have to pay a huge amount of money to build an infrastructure. I'm just going to use the cloud. And I forget to tell you, one of the point, for instance, Office, or which is SaaS, any application on the internet, right? Before we used to purchase, for instance, Office 2007, and then the new version will be released. I have to upgrade the new version for all my employees. And then a new version will be released. I have to upgrade it and so on. But when I'm using that on a cloud, I'm just paying a license fees. And they have to upgrade to the latest version. So all the scenarios, IaaS or PaaS or SaaS, are ideal for a business. But on the other side, maybe it's good for a cost effectiveness, for administrative effort, but from a security perspective, you have a very, very big responsibility there. Because you cannot say that cloud is not the ideal solution, and you cannot approve using of the cloud just blindly. Okay? So my question for you guys, and I really, really hope to hear the answers that I'm looking for, okay? If your company is moving to cloud, and moving means they decide to move to cloud, they want you to guide them the proper way to move to cloud from a security perspective. What are the factors? I'm not talking about the process right now. I'm talking about what will be the factors that you need to consider regarding moving to the cloud.
I think first you have to know what type of cloud, maybe the PaaS, the SaaS, or the IaaS.
Yes, this is the point, but in all information, I mean, in all cases, what will be stored on a cloud? I mean, if I'm using PaaS or IaaS or SaaS, all
Data.
of them, data,
Information,
right?
data.
Information or data. So your main concern will be what exactly?
Compliance.
What data will be stored on the cloud? Okay, so you have to start to know the information that will be stored on the cloud. And accordingly, you're going to do a risk assessment. What is the criticality of moving those information to the cloud? Are we following any specific compliance that prevent doing that? Or we don't have a compliance that prevent, but we need to evaluate the information that will be stored on the cloud. And if the information that we are storing on the cloud get any kind of problem, what is the risk related to that? Is it a high risk, medium risk, or low risk? Okay. Now, I have to tell you, moving to the cloud is not really a big issue, because a lot of policies that we learned during our trainings that we implement on premises, it's applicable on cloud, right? So you're going to implement a lot of policy from the premises on the cloud. For instance, access control. Access control is a policy that we created so we can control how people will access the information, right? According to the job description, according to the criticality of the information. Maybe we need to have a two authentication factor. Maybe we need to have a process to assign access to someone. Management need to approve. We need to review access frequently. This is all was a part of the access control, right? Policy. Now, this policy will be also implemented on the cloud. I used to implement that in my company. I created an access control policy. But since I will be moving this policy to the cloud, I need to see, can I implement the same policy on the cloud? Can I control how people will access the information? If it was on a platform, or it was an application, or it was in a storage, can I put the same controls? If not, this is a risk. If I can only give access to one account, and I cannot have like different username with different password, this would be a problem. Okay. If I'm following a encryption policy in my organization, because I'm like following HIPAA or GDPR, okay, and I decide to move my information to the cloud. Is the cloud provides the same encryption type, same key management? So whatever we took inside, or whatever policy we created in premises, a lot of them need to be the same policy, need to be applicable in cloud. So you need to see the applicability. Is it doable or it's not doable? Okay. So our approach to the cloud, first, I need to have a standard to read it. So this is your assignment, and I'm going to tell you what will be the end of your assignment. And I'm going to also show you how to create a couple of clouds so you can verify the baseline, you can verify the checklist, and so on. So, So first, any new technology, actually cloud is not new, but any technology that we plan to move or to start using it, I need to see, is there any standard or best practice that I can read? It can give me some guidelines, because you're gonna start facing that. Your company is moving to IoT. Okay, this is something new to you. Should you just search online, or should you look for a standard? Is there any standard related to that? For the cloud, we have a standard 800-145 from Nest. So before doing anything, I want you to download this document. It's free, of course, and read it. This is about the cloud standard. Okay, so this is one of the cloud standard. Also ISO, but I don't recall the numbers. They have 177 something. There is a document related to cloud standard. Okay, and then you're gonna have to look into the standard 27001 that this company is following, and see the different controls, just in a very high level inside the standard. Is it applicable to the cloud or not? This is as a initial study about the cloud services. Okay, just to be familiar what standards the cloud is following. So you will be evaluating. I mean, if you're going to use PaaS, for instance, platform, as all our platform will be in the cloud. Okay, I have different provider. I have Microsoft, I have Google AWS, I have, Amazon AWS, I have Google. There is different cloud services. So you will have to decide which one is more suitable from a security perspective, not just from the price. Okay. So by the way, Google, it's giving you even free images. I mean, the ones that I'm using here, this one is completely free. But the one I'm using from Microsoft Azure, it's paid, but it's very, very low. I think it's like 90 cents per day or something like that. So getting back to my point, what need to be done? Okay, the first thing that we need to know is what will be the information stored on the cloud. And we need to do a risk assessment to see the criticality of copying those information to the cloud. Because after all, it's a management call. Okay, so you need to see what is the criticality having those information on the cloud. Maybe you will have a strong recommendation not to store some of the information on the cloud. And keep in mind, this scenario, it's, we have, or you're going to see different kind of scenario. Sometimes you will see a company that you are dealing with, or you have a contract with, and they decided to store your information on the cloud. Okay, I mean, I was working somewhere, and they had a contract with a company overseas. I think it was in Germany, and they asked us to copy all our information on the cloud because they were doing some analysis and some. So the manager asked for the security team to evaluate the information that will be stored on the cloud. Is it critical information, or is it raw information, like, data that has less criticality, and if anything happen, I mean, the damage or the risk is not that high. So you need to learn how first to do a risk assessment about the information that will be stored on the cloud. Second point, I hope you are taking notes. Second point is that you need to check the applicability of the current policies that you have in your organization to the cloud, especially the policy related to the information management. So the information asset management, the access control, the incident management. If any incident happen on the cloud, are they going to report to you about this incident? So you need to see what policy is applicable that used to like on the cloud, and it's applicable to be. I'm sorry, the policy was on the premises, and it's applicable to be done on the cloud or not. And what is the policies that you will not be able to implement on the cloud, and how critical is not having to this policy? So as I was saying, as an example, for instance, the encryption policy. What if the cloud is using different kind of encryption? This will be a risk inside your risk assessment. You should have a risk assessment for moving to the cloud. Okay. Finally, I need to end up whatever discussion we have with a cloud security policy. I want you to create a cloud security policy that your company will follow regarding using the cloud. So the policy will be based about everything I talk about so far. So you need, because whatever you're going to study and decide, it has to be written somewhere and approved from management and followed from now on, right? So from now on, whatever we will provide or whatever we will services we're going to use on the cloud need to be or need to follow the cloud security. So this is what I need from your side as your first assignment. The company ABC, they are planning to move some of their services to the cloud. Those services are platform. They plan to get many machines on the cloud, and they plan to get some services on the cloud, you know, like Office 365 or some of the HR applications, or some of the applications they're going to start using the cloud services. So they spoke with you so you can put a proper policy. You can evaluate this step and identify the risk, and is there any mitigation risk for that? Because maybe the information is critical, but you can encrypt them, or you can check one of the DLP solution on the cloud. So it may have a mitigation plan, but I want you to end up with a cloud security policy that is based on a full study about the cloud. So it will be really good if you start with a comparison between the cloud services and the on-premises services and the applicable security control in both of them, and which policy will be implemented in the cloud same way it was implemented in the on-premises, and so on and so forth. So this is a very, very good exercise. So I need a study for using the cloud services according to the asset registers that I shared with you before, same company. So because you will not randomly decide, or you will not ask business departments about their asset. Now we know better, right? I will tell them, show me your asset list or asset register. I can know exactly which department or each department going to store what on cloud. So I have the asset register. It has all the information, the level of criticality, a description about this information. So you will have a very good idea about what will be stored on the cloud, because you followed up with the department. You know what they stored, or I'm sorry, what information they have, the criticality of the information, who's the owner and custodian, a description about all different kind of asset like services or information and so on. So your report or your study would be quite like effective. Okay, it's not something generic, it's about this organization. So I want you to use the asset registers that I shared with you in the previous lecture. Okay. Now, let me show you how can you create a, yeah, please go ahead.
So can we assume that the asset register that you provided, all the services inside, it's not on the cloud at the moment? And
Yes.
the exercise is basically asking which services that you think should be going, or do we have a set of services already provided saying that these are the ones that they want to go to the cloud? So which one is that?
Actually, right now, everything is on premises, okay? What
Okay.
would be moved to the cloud, they didn't decide yet, okay? They are checking the prices, they are speaking with different department, IT department, guys, can you move all your machine to the cloud or not? So they are doing that in parallel. Your responsibility is to check what can be moved to the cloud with low risk and what can be moved to the cloud with a high risk, and is there any risk mitigation for that or not. So this will involve also checking the product. You will have to check two different platforms that they are comparing between to check from the security perspective, okay? Remember in our shared folder, we had a Excel sheet, which is a cloud security checklist. This actually was gathered from many policy. I mean, you can start with that. See in each cloud services, what security services or what security baseline are there and what security control are missing. So also you will have an idea about that. But the point is, I mainly need from your side two documents. Risk assessment for the information of the asset register about using the cloud, and a cloud security policy that explain exactly the proper usage of the cloud. Okay?
Sure.
Okay. Now, you can easily create a cloud, and actually, even on personal basis, that become very, very common right now. Maybe people are focusing more about the storage cloud or the infrastructure as a service, okay? But you should consider different services. It's much more effective. You know, platform, I'm using that a lot right now. You know, having my iPad from anywhere, I have a many virtual machine with high configurations that allow me to run my business. So it's really a future approach. I mean, you know, everyone is moving to the cloud right now. So you need to be familiar and you need to be comfortable with it. So I will suggest that you create two different accounts, one of them on Microsoft Azure and one of them on Amazon AWS. And creating a cloud is straightforward. As you can see here, when you go to Microsoft Azure, you will find, you know, what exactly type of cloud you need to create. You have a virtual machine. This is a platform, right? This is a PaaS. While you have a storage, this is a IaaS, right? Where you have a SQL database. So you can have any kind of services on the cloud according to what we spoke. Let's see just a small example. So here you can let me go back. You can go to virtual machine, for instance, and you can create a new virtual machine. And it's very straightforward. I mean, it's not really that hard to create. So you go to create new, and then you select a virtual machine, and you start just filling the information, okay? You just need here to create something called a new resource group. So I will create a new, I will name it, for instance, cyber or CSS, and create a new. This is like a set of resources group. Here you can specify where do you want to have your virtual machine. I can have a virtual machine located anywhere in the world, right? So is it in US? Is it in Europe? Is it, so you can specify the location of the virtual machine, okay? Now, keep in mind, it doesn't mean that you can go and do something illegal and the IP that will be captured will be from this country. Still, someone can do that, except you will approve or accept the term of usage that Microsoft is telling you, so you cannot misuse this virtual machine. Okay, so here you can select any country, as I was saying, and then you can select even the operating system. So I selected Windows 11, but you will notice you have Linux, you have, you know, Ubuntu, you have Red Hat, You can install Kali Linux if you want. I mean, you can install anything you want. And if the operating system doesn't exist, you can click here and see all operating system and select the operating system from there. This is definitely cheaper than buying an operating system yourself, right? I mean, you know, if I need to buy Windows, for instance, it will cost you maybe what, $70, $80. And then if you need to renew the license and so on, no, I'm getting here and I'm only paying what I'm using. Okay, so it's really, really effective. So let's take it, for instance, Windows Server. Okay, and you will see that he will give you an estimate price. Now let me select the server. Yeah, I think this one is good because they have different version. So here I think he will give you an estimated price. Yeah, this will cost you, if you're going to use it 24/7, $137.2 per month. But I'm going to show you that you can specify the times that will be used, and it will be quite cheap. And here you are putting the username and password, and it will be accessed using the RDP, and then you click on review and create. There is an option where you can like select the shutdown. I think this is maybe the availability option. You have different option. I believe it was maybe here. The disk, the amount of storage in the machine. You can select the network setting. Management, I think from here, you can select when it should be like shut it down. So you can, you know, if you usually work like maybe 11 p.m. and you want to shut down the machine after 11 p.m., it will do that for you. And management, auto shutdown. Yeah, here you go. So you can specify the auto shutdown and the timing, and it will even tell you, I mean, if you shut down the machine by 7 p.m. this time, it will tell you how much it will cost you. So from that amount of time to that amount of time, anything. So you will get to know how much it will cost you once you get to the final step according to the number of working hours. This is the paid one actually. And you just click on next, 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 and then it will show, I will not create any new virtual machine, but it will show inside your virtual machine, like in my case here. Okay, and you can click on it and you can click on connect the machine, and it's managed from here, and you can open it using a remote desktop. Okay, same what I'm doing right now, and I'm using it completely as a normal machine. If in the future I need to increase more memory, quite easy. I go to the setting, increase more memory. If I need to increase more storage, it's more storage. So actually it's quite straightforward and very easy to use. Okay, in Amazon you can create that for free. They have a free option. Okay, so you can go there in Amazon AWS, and I want you to create a virtual machine in any of those. Go to something called EC2, and in EC2 you will be able, or you're gonna find that you can create your own virtual machine, launch instant, and he will ask you what operating system would you like to have. It's a very, very straightforward, and he will show you what is free and what is paid. So you still can have a virtual machine and use it from there. But it's important to not just to be like familiar with the terminology. No, you create a virtual machine or a storage, see the benefit, go to the website, read the security setting of the virtual machine. So it's important to be familiar, because 100% any business that you will be going to are planning to go to cloud, or they are already on the cloud. So your involvement will be must. But the good thing is that cloud is like on premises. A lot of policy will be applicable on the cloud. Okay. So this is your first assignment based on real information. Okay. So now you have an idea about the or you already have the information asset registers that include all the information asset of the organization. You know that the company is moving to the cloud. You know about the policy that they are following, because they are following ISO 27001. So all the policy are applicable to them to be able to maintain the certificate. And you know what solutions they are comparing between. They are comparing between Amazon and they are comparing between Amazon AWS and Microsoft Azure. Okay, guys, so can you provide your feedback about that? Can you provide the risk assessment for the information and the cloud security policy and a brief?
Professor?
Yes.
Where can I find the information asset register? Because you were in the meeting, you're saying that you have shared it, but I have not got a copy.
Okay, go to our shared folder. There is a subfolder called RA, Real Assignment. Under the Real Assignment, you will find the Real Information Asset Register.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, clear, guys, the first assignment? Now we have two assignments. I don't know if you're going to keep getting assignment and not sending to me. It will be too much. So is it clear? Okay, good. Now the second assignment will be smaller, which is related to the data classification. Okay. Now we already spoke about classification before, right? And it's a must in any information asset. We need to have a data classification, right? Now the problem is there is a difference between classification and between labeling. Okay, so classification means the company has a classification scheme. All the information are classified to top secret, secret, confidential, or internal customer information, PII, whatever classification is followed. You have a policy in your company, your employee is aware of the policy, and inside the asset list, each information shows a relevant classification. This is having classification in place. But the second point is labeling. So I can have classification, but I don't have labeling. Labeling means I'm writing the classification on the proper document, okay, like stamping. Okay, what if I have a classification and I have stamps that I'm using on each document, right? Stamp on it, top secret, secret, confidential. This is called labeling. So I have a way to highlight the classification level on each document. Okay, so the company already have a classification, but they need to have a labeling, a labeling solution. So they need to have a software that if they use, it will be installed on all the machines like the antivirus. Any user open any file, a Word document, Excel document, PDF document, and write anything and save it, he will tell you, I cannot save it unless you select the classification. Okay, so you are enforcing the employee to write the proper classification on their document. Why this is important? Okay, let me first show it to you how it looks like. I'm going to show you a couple of products just to get the idea. And by the way, we have a classification tool in Microsoft Office. I was thinking to do a demonstration for you for the DLP and classification, but let's talk about the concept first. Okay, so let's take one of the like famous topic. Citus data classification. This was one of the tools. Let me show you how it looked like. It's a software that you installed on all your endpoint. And what will happen, it will associate with Office and all the similar application. And whenever you go and try, like any of the user from now on, once you install the application, that will try to create a new file or modify a new file and try to save it, he will not be able to save it unless he select from a classification. He will get, you know, like a Windows like set, and it will have the classifications that you follow in your organization, and you have to select that to be able to save the file. Okay. Now, why is important to do that? Why it's not enough to have only the classification in place? Why it's important to have a tag or a label on each file showing the classification? What do you think?
By classification on top the labeling, you mean that it would be visible from outside? For example, a
Yes.
CD, a file folder. Okay, it's for easy identification if it's in wrong hands or if it's somewhere else. line,
This
you can
for sure,
immediately
yes.
protect it.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is also will be one of the benefits. I'm just open any files that may show you what I mean by classification. So I don't know if this will have a classification, for instance, or not. But the classification will show inside the footer. Maybe this one didn't have a classification yet. So once
Yes,
you select,
confidential.
yeah, okay. So the question here, why should I have a tag? First, I'm enforcing all the user, whoever create a document, he will specify the classification of the document. But why is that is important technically?
For
Because
asset management. Sorry.
no,
To
go
have
ahead.
software like DLP so that we can track
Exactly.
them.
Exactly. So I have another solution, which is a DLP, right? Data loss or data leakage prevention, right? The DLP as a solution, you remember we had a session about DLP, and I can do even one more session if you want. You put some policy, you say if any document include one of those keyword, credit card, social security number, any of those keyword, please prevent this file to be copied by USB or by email, or even take a screenshot, or even take copy and paste from the file, right? Now, let me tell you a piece of advice regarding this part. If you in your company are going to use a DLP without a data classification, this will not work. I can get the DLP and configure it. It's quite easy. I mean, you know, so even in Office 365, they have a DLP tool. So I can do that. I can get a DLP, and we went through that. And I can put some policy related to the some of the content of the file, and put some policy. If anyone tried to copy a file with this kind of information, do the following. But actually, this is not easy to configure, because think about many factors, okay? You cannot keep in mind all the keywords that could be inside the file, and it may be written in a different way, and maybe in a different language. It's not really easy to use the DLP. While if I use the DLP based on the data classification in a way that if a document is confidential, it's inside the data classification tag confidential, no one will be able to copy it or move it or copy and paste from it or send it by email or something like that. Okay, so data classification, besides it's a compliance requirement, it's also a very good start for a DLP. If you're going to build the DLP only by putting some policy, it will not work. It's not effective. Okay. So in our Office 365 account, we have a DLP tool and a data classification tool. Okay. Because as you can see, it's a part of the compliance. I want you right now to understand the concept. If you want to see the technology, if we want to do a session where I show you how we are configuring the data classification and the DLP, so you saw that realistically, it's fine. Okay, keeping in mind that we are not the one who's doing that. Remember, right? We are doing the statement of work. We are doing the success criteria, right? But we are not the one who's doing the implementation. We are identifying the business need. But if it will make sense to you, I can do, you know, we have a tool here for data classification. I can show you a real example next session for data classification and DLP, and do a test and try to copy a file and see if it's going to work or not. Would you like to do something like that realistic? It's not relevant to your activity in the company, but if you want to see realistically, same ways we see how to create a virtual machine, we can do that.
That would be great.
Okay. I can do it as a video and upload it on our share folder, so you don't have to wait to the next session if this was something to be helpful. But this is not relevant to our activity. The activity is in any technical solution like data classification, DLP, antivirus. What is our responsibility? If the company will get any technical solution.
evaluate the product, note down the scope of work and how the functionality, the use cases.
Exactly. Exactly. But you start
Monitor
with the
the
statement of work.
configuration.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
The
evaluating the product.
SOW.
Yes, exactly. SOW is extremely important. And I want you to be very familiar with that. From where are we getting the input of the SOW? I mean, we are evaluating SOW mean what
Third
information?
party
I'm sorry?
from the vendors.
No, SOW mean I'm
Oh,
identifying what I have and what need to be protected. What kind of information the data will, this application will classify. What kind of machine, what kind of operating system, from where I'm getting.
Asset register.
Thank you so much. Okay, so you're gonna do an SOW for a data classification from the exact same document. Because this is from where, actually, usually besides the asset register, we are sitting with department, understand their need, because it will let us know the number of license, it will affect the cost. But I want you to do according to this asset register. So everything, as I told you in the beginning of this training, is based on a proper identification of asset. If you have a proper identification of information asset, you will be able to do whatever you want. Okay, technical solution, cloud solution, and so on and so forth. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, so let me remind you the assignments that you have. Okay, one, you have an assignment from the first time, which is how to conduct or prepare a risk assessment template that you can really use. Even if tomorrow you will be involved in risk assessment, you have a list that include different category of assets. It include different asset value. It includes the common vulnerability related to asset. What is the common vulnerability for the hardware, for the e-services, for the software, for the people? So I need to do a full asset assessment process according to the real data that I shared with you. This is the first phase. Second phase is the cloud security. Now, I believe you have a good idea about the cloud. It's not enough just to go through the video. It's important to go through the different websites to read more about the cloud services, and more important, to download the standard of the cloud and have idea about the cloud services. You need to know the business point of view and the security point of view. You need to verify the cloud services. Are they fulfilling the security controls from the ISO or not? Can I apply the same policy, password policy, access control policy, incident management policy, all the policies that we went through, can we apply that on the cloud or not? Okay, so I need to have a cloud security policy and a presentation that will be used to the management to explain to them the, what do you call it, cons and pros or the advantage and disadvantage inside the cloud based on the asset list. And finally, the same company is planning to do to implement a data classification tool because it's a compliance requirement. So we need to do that. So we are looking for a solution that is friendly, because after all, if the user will be the one who's using it. Whenever he create an Excel file, PowerPoint file, any document, he will have a pop-up message saying, I will not be able to save unless you select the right or the proper classification for that. So I need you to do the statement of work according to the documents that I shared with you. Okay. This is your assignment. What I'm going to do for you guys, I will create two different videos. One of them would be a full implementation of the data classification on Microsoft, and I think you will be able to do that yourself, except I don't want you to do randomly because you have a license on Office 365, so you can practice yourself, but don't waste your time, because realistically, you are not the one who's implementing that. You are testing, you are checking, but implementation is not part of our jobs. But some of the topics, some people like to see how exactly they are working to have a better idea. So I don't want you to waste your time instead of doing your real assignment to work with one of the application or see how to set up the application. This is not really relevant. If you're going to do that, it will be for your own knowledge. So you can speak on it in an interview or something. So I will do a video for the data classification and another video for the DLP. and do a real demonstration so you can practice, you can see, you will have a better idea about the product realistically instead of just explaining the steps or just explaining the product. Okay, guys? I want you to do more effort when it comes to the real assignment. Okay, because we have real information that we can build on it, right? We have real outputs that we can compare our results with the real project document and see if we followed the right path or not. So I'm strongly suggesting that you, especially the assignments that we are doing right now, to give them your real attention. Okay, do them, take time, no problem, but give them your real attention because this is like, you know, real involvement and you have real data. This is not easy to provide real data for real projects. So please do it like that. I mean, take that quite seriously. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Thank you very much.